Hello, everyone. My name is Tara Agnew, and today I want to talk to you about a subject that is very, very intriguing to me, podcasting. Now, this presentation was created by myself and Brian Hightower. Some of the areas that I'm going to discuss this evening is basically giving you a definition of podcasting, give you an idea of some software that you're going to be needing, some apps that are very familiar with podcasting, give you some ideas of different types of podcasting. I'm going to show you a video and tell you some processes for creating a podcast. Show you some examples of some very effective podcasts that have been done and how podcasts can be used as a content delivery in the classroom as well. And then wrapping this up, I'll give you an idea of how and why podcasting in the classroom is so important. Podcasting is really a word that's taken from two words, iPod and broadcasting. Now, a podcast is basically a digital file that is audio and it's recording made available on the internet. And you can download it to a computer or you can use it on a MP3 player or some type of iPod to listen to. They're usually digital media files, and podcasting itself is the process of creating a podcast. So the objective of a podcast is to listen to audio shows on your iPods or any other type of media player. It brings together audio on the internet, portable media players, and, technology in general. There's a big audience, production, and distribution of a podcast today. Is free to anyone who want to listen to it. And if you want to create one of your own, you just got to have the right software to do it, which is pretty simple. There are certain devices and software that you're going to need if you plan on creating a podcast for yourself, which can be very, very fun. You're going to need a good pair of headphones, a microphone, and it could be a headphones that has one attached to it. Um, you have to have recording and mixing software, audio and editing software, good internet connection helps, and most importantly, you got to have the material you plan on talking about. Here are some very popular podcast apps. Some that I was familiar with, and then I found a lot of great ones that I had not ever seen or heard of before, like Sleekcast or iCatcher. You can check out any of these and get some more information about how well they work. And there are generally four main types of podcasts. You have the audio podcast, the video podcast, enhanced podcast, and the screencast. Now, the audio podcasts are completely audio based. There's no video or anything involved in it. But when you're dealing with video podcasts, you have a combination of the digital and the audio files together. And similar to the video podcast, you have the enhanced podcast. And then the screencast or just live screen recordings of content. So check out any of these types, and if you feel like you're going to create a podcast, you have to kind of really decide what type am I going to do at first before you begin. When creating a podcast, there's a few steps that has to be followed, and these are the basic steps for creating a podcast, and it's pretty simple. Starting with an audio editing software like Audacity, downloading MP3 encoder, saving your podcast, extracting your files. You got to record it, and you have to do some editing while you're recording, like trimming, taking out any excess background noises. You got to save the podcast as an MP3 file, create you some tags to go along with it, and then you're ready to upload. Here's a very cool video that shows you step-by-step process for creating a podcast. Has a lot of detail that it gives you in a very, very short amount of time, that can have you on your way to creating a very cool podcast. Now we know that it makes a lot of sense to see some real podcasts in action. So Brian and I found some really cool sites that are great examples of podcasts. And again, you can take time to go to these different links, and I think you'll enjoy the different formats of each one altogether. Using podcasts as content delivery, this is very important in the classroom. As a teacher myself, I'm always looking for innovative ways to keep students engaged, and podcasting is a really great way to do that. It assists in auditory learners because when you have learners that learn best through auditory, a podcast is a great way for you to get deliver content to a student. Um, it provides feedback to learners pretty quickly. It enables the instructor to review lectures or lessons without having to be present in the classroom with students. It replaces a full classroom lecture, and it also can be used as a supplementary content. Podcasting has become a very popular technological trend today. And so the question that a lot of teachers are asking when presented with different ways to enhance their classroom with technology, when they hear about podcasting, the biggest question asked is why should we use podcasts in the classroom? Well, this video is a great video showing why podcasting is so important in the classroom. Take a look at it, and I think you'll find it very interesting. Even little Johnny understands the importance of podcasting from the classroom. I conclude this presentation with our references. Really hope that you have enjoyed it and hope that you learned something. Thank you for your time.